You ain't gonna go past that Velcro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And there's not a spot to...
Evidently, it locks up in the middle, and then you just slide the bottom side up.
So does the leg slide out from the bottom?
Yeah.
Hey, I got it locked on this side.
He was coming.
Oh, look at that.
I had it pick up.
First time I've used it. There we go. What?
I'd say it just locks in the middle because
There's no notch or
there's no
anything.
pins, and
Yeah,
that's,
I told
you can't move it past that. So the center's what locks.
We have a tent. Look at that. First time we've used it.
We'll get it through. We'll get it.
Where the rest of
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll work on that again. Get back to this.
Don't do it this time of year.
Yeah, that's just it. We're gonna have to find a different time of year.
Sometime in the spring.
So what we're going to look at today, since we're going to have limited people and limited space, we'll try to get into an actual shuttle. If we shuttle, we're just going to go down right before we turn into housing. There's a nice flat spot there. We'll set up down there as our attack point. So, but what we're going to run through here, at least for the next 4 hours, is setting up, looking at different layouts. What can we do to maximize filling vehicles? What can we do to improve? Do we have all the fittings that we need? Discussing the fittings. The fittings are always a point of contention, for the lack of a better term. When we started doing this years ago, one of the reasons we started doing it is we were working on our ISO rating up at Lincolnville and Lost Springs and Center High School. And after some of the research and stuff that we've done, we've determined that,
We weren't compatible.
yeah, everything was 2.5, but we lost time trying to screw things on and screw things off.
You cannot change your transport time. ISO does not give you any latitude on that. The only thing you can change is your fill time and your dump time. Your dump time is going to be what it's going to be. So the only avenue you've got really to change is your fill time. So if your truck's got more than one fill location, you can tie 2 hoses on it. That speeds things up. And we figured the most solvent way to change anything is connect and disconnect. Hook and hoses wastes so much time. Them cam locks work pretty simple. You're not putting a whole lot of pressure on it anyway. It should be free flowing, so we all went cam locks.
And when we did this, it was set up just like a fire truck. If you look at a fire truck, any of the inlets going to the truck are what? Female. Discharges coming off of the truck are male. So we did the cam locks the same way. If it was going to hook up to put water into the truck, we were going to have a female there. If it was on a hose or something like that, it was going to have a male. Somewhere in there, some of the county have flipped and done it.
We completely did it for a different reason. The female fitting with the tabs and the ears on the end of a hose getting thrown around is more likely to be broke. The male end is a lot more durable.
Resilient.
So we put the female ends on the truck so you don't have to worry about breaking the ears off of them.
The other thing is, when we were doing this, we played both ways for a couple years. If you've got the male on the hose, when you go to hook it in, basically as you're going in like this, your hands slide right up on the ears and you can lock it. It's a simple, smooth, one-step process. When you're unhooking the hose, you're basically reaching up, you're popping the ears and it's going to fall. No problem. So, speeds up time. So I want to get back and start going through our chiefs meetings and stuff like that and get back where we are 3-inch female on the truck, 3-inch male on the hoses.
The best advice I could give you, if everybody agrees to 3-inch cam lock connections, most of us are set up to where I can go male or female on the end of the hose. So whatever truck pulls in front of me, all I got to do is buy or grab an adapter.
And and then carry the adapters. Now, some things we're going to have to look at. Some things we're going to look at with our tenders and even with our engines. If we get to a place where we're servicing aircraft, if for some reason we've got a fire out here and we've got Heinemann Brothers or someone coming in their seats, which is crop duster, they've got 2-inch cam lock fills on their planes. So we'll need to have 2-inch adapters. And as we get further into this, I will find out exactly what they're carrying on all the birds, and we'll have them set up that way. If they're landing, now we'll never fill 95 or 154 here or Hillsboro because our airports will not handle it. The runways will not handle them, the weight. I'm hoping to talk to the airport manager at Marion, and if they ever do the deal there, I'd like to have them get with 95 and with forestry and see what it would take to beef the runway up a little bit, so that way we can bring 95 in here. We've got the length, we just don't have the weight capacity, so as far as I know. So that's something we're going to look at. But the seats, the regular crop dusters, we've got crop dusters flying out of here, so we should be able to handle Heinemann Brothers and any of that. We should also be able to, we won't worry about Blackhawks. We don't have any of our helicopters that have tanks. They just dip, so that'll be the lakes or the ponds or whatever. So, for water shuttle, like Brett said, the only thing that you can change is your fill time and your dump time. You can't change your travel time. Your travel time for ISO purposes is figured at 35 miles an hour across the board. Everyone says, well, we can go faster than that. Yes, you can. But when you're hauling 3,000 gallons of water, 2,000 gallons of water, in some of the tankers we've got, some of the tenders we've got, you don't have baffling, you're going to be all over the place. If you got half a load or something like that, there's been a lot of accidents. Even tenders like mine, like Lost Springs's, like Gossel's, that are already set up to be tenders, there are still people that are laying them over, rolling them over, and killing people.
And Marion County roads.
Oh yeah, that too.
Well, and on like Jeff's aunt's house over there, that's 2.5 miles. It is raining, it was muddy, it was still raining.
Nasty.
That road was 2.5 miles of talk to each other on the radio, one in, one out.
Yeah, you didn't come
Yeah,
off the
we could
highway.
drive faster than that, but you're waiting on each other is where they're coming up with that 35 mile an hour.
So
They also are looking at, it takes a bit to get up to speed, even the 35.
yeah.
When this is full,
Yep.
it's not going to get there.
And you have to
Like
stop
my
at stop
car
signs
does.
if there's
Right,
no
and that's why they figured at 35. That takes into account when you get on site to fill, positioning, backing up, hooking up. When you get to the dump site, positioning, backing up, dumping. So the 35 across the board is what it is. So, if we need more water, and we have not got that much into it, I would like to. We did when we were doing our ISO. Gallons per minute per mile delivered. Gallons per minute per mile delivered is based on tanker capacity, tender capacity, speed, mileage. How far are you hauling? How fast you can dump. There's a formula on that. We may work on that when we do our next class to look at it. But then what you can do is, I've got a cue card, and I know that Gossel's tender, on an average, will deliver 115 gallons a minute a mile. I know that Lost Springs' tender will deliver 145 gallons per minute per mile. If you have pre-plans in place where you know what your fire flow is going to be for a building, that will help you figure it out. Right now, what we're doing is if we need tenders, we need tenders. And we're just rotating. And there isn't a thing wrong with that, because we're not getting into the fine minutia of it. The only time we're going to get into something like that is if we've got a building and ISO is saying, well, you can't provide the water for that, so we're going to knock you down one. Yes, we can. Right here is our documentation that shows this. We can provide 450 gallons a minute, 500 gallons a minute to take care of this building, which is what the building is rated at for fire protection. That's getting way down into the pre-plans, the weeds, and stuff like that. Today, we're going to work on setups. What works? What do we have equipment-wise? Like I say, I wanted to do the stuff, and we may get to shuttle, but like I say, let's work on setups. Let's work on hookups. How are we going to fill? How many tenders can we fill? Okay, your engine. What's it rated at? How many GPM?
1550. No, this one's 1550. That one's 1250.
1250. Okay, mine's 15, yours is 1250. What's your tender rated at? 1250?
1550, I believe.
15. It wouldn't be 1550, it'd be 15. 500? 1,000?
1,000.
Okay. Damn, I'm good. I got it. Okay. So, yeah. So, out of that, which trucks would we have at the fill site? Which truck would we want at the fill site?
One bigger than the truck at the pump side, or at the structure.
You want your largest capacity pump at the fill site.
But if it's on your largest tank truck and you got a distance to go, wouldn't you want that
That's-
volume on the road?
That's my argument. That
Yes.
truck's always going to be tied onto the
Right.
tank because I have no business hauling water, 1,500 gallons at a time when I've got 3,000 sitting there.
Right. And that's where we always have the dilemma, With my engine's also 1,500. So, do I put my engine, like if we go to Lost Springs, do I put my engine at their tank, pushing to wherever they're at, or filling, or do I take it to the scene where I've got all my equipment on there that we can use? See, so those are things that you have to think and work out when you're putting all of this together. For sake of argument today, we're going to look at putting the largest pump here. So, how many discharges do you have? How many trucks can you lay out to fill at a time?
I think there's 4, but I think one of them don't work, so 3 of them.
So you could theoretically do 3. The best way to do it is figure out how to do 2. They have got, and I will switch here so I can get to the board. Okay. So, draft engine. They have a couple of, depending on what we're going to fill with. Now, do you have a large diameter discharge on your truck, or is all yours just 2.5?
One of them does, one of them doesn't.
Okay. So, we've got an LDH discharge on both of our trucks. Do you have an LDH discharge? 4-inch discharge, 5-inch?
On
On the pumper or on the tender?
The pumper does.
the pumper does.
Okay.
Well, the tanker does too.
Okay. So, what you can do, if you've got an LDH discharge, you can come off of the LDH discharge, and they have a dual LDHY that you can bring into there, and you can still lay out 2 more lines. So in theory, you could have 4 lines laid out here. One truck comes in, you start up at this end, hook up, you're filling him. Next one comes in, you put him here, and you jump back and forth. Are you going to fill all 4 at once? Probably not. But if you're filling this one, and you're filling this one, and number 3 comes in, there's nothing saying that he can't go ahead, move into position, hook up, and when one of them pops out, then you start filling him. Okay? So that's an option there. Another option, you can come off with a 4-inch feeder, go 4 to 2.5 and put 2 2.5s out. Okay? Mark, in the back compartment, I've got a gated Y. You want to bring it up here, please? Okay, you can do that. If you've got a 4-inch discharge, you can come off with a 4-inch, and if you've got the 4-inch Y, you can still split off with a pair of 4 inches. Now, when we did the training up in Harrington, Vinny's truck had 4-inch fills, and Kevin was telling me that we're looking at changing ours to 4-inch on this for that purpose, to fill faster and the amount that it fills. Okay. So, 4-inch manifold. We have this. I stole this off my engine. This is for the schoolhouse load. So what we can do with this is I got 4-inch coming in here off of my fill engine. I can lay another 4-inch out, and I can lay 2 2.5s out. We use this at the fire out at the reservoir, East Shore, when we had the camper, and then that moved over to the house.
Yeah.
Okay. They had a fill site set up across the road in the reservoir. They were using a floating pump. Went over there, the floating pump, we tried to fill our tender. Floating pump was just not cutting it. So we called and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and set up water supply. So what we did is Barry and I set up a draft point. We laid this at the top of the boat ramp with a pair of 2.5s. We didn't use the 4. Nobody had a 4-inch at that time. So we had a pair of 2.5s. So basically we were pumping probably from here to the bales was where we had the fill point set up. We were here pumping probably, I think it was probably almost 150 foot to the top of the hill. And then we had this laid where we could hook into the tenders coming in. It worked. So a device like this, they have these that also have 4 2.5s off of it for whatever purpose. Got a pressure gauge on there where you can look and see what your pressure is. I'm not worried about it. You know, I'm going to run off my compound pressure gauge on the truck. Okay, so when we're filling trucks, we want to fill them as fast as possible. We want to not overpressure. The other thing is we want to make sure that the trucks have vents. If they're not, most of our tenders, all of our commercial tenders now are vented. Now, when we had some of the older, when they were using like milk trucks, when they were using stuff like that, they may or may not have been vented. So we always had to make sure that the dome was open. Okay? So that we don't do one of two things. We don't expand the tank, or we don't collapse the tank when we are dumping. So, now, Brett said something that is not necessarily true. He says that you can't do anything on dump times. But you can speed your dump times up a little bit. Okay? So, what size dump is on your truck? 10-inch? 10-inch Newton or 12-inch?
It's at least 10.
10-inch?
Man shows how to quarters.
I think 10.
10?
I don't think it's
10? 10 or 12? Okay, ours is 10. So, if you've got 10-inch dumping, and you've only got a 3-inch vent, can you add a second vent?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Would it speed up your dump time?
Sure. If that's the resistance in your system, heck yeah.
Okay. So, and in my mind, in some of the books I've read, if you've got at least 10 inches coming out, you should probably have at least 10 inches coming in. They don't build them that way, unfortunately. So a lot of places start modifying when they do stuff like that. So, but it's just something to keep in mind. When you're testing, when you're doing some of this, and you notice that it's flowing, but could it flow faster? Go up and open your dome. See if that makes a difference.
I don't.
Sometimes it does.
Well, the reason why I say that is because at work, I have 2-inch vent tube, and it won't make any difference in the flow if I go up and open up my top dome when I'm pumping out.
When you're pumping out.
When I'm pumping out, or
but see, we're free flowing.
You're free flowing, but I don't know if it's even going to make that much more of a difference.
According to the statistics that have been put out, like say this is some of Larry Davis's stuff that I've read years ago, it will make a difference. It will make a difference. Now, how much of a difference we don't know.
I mean, you
got to
got
look
your
at cost.
restriction down a
Right.
little bit, but
You got to look at your cost ratio and see if it's worth it. So, okay. So this is something that we can use. If you have just a standard 4-inch to 2.5, it's something you can use. If you just have single discharges, 2.5, you can use that, but you're going to lay out 2 lines. Okay? So, what we're going to do over here is we're going to set up one of our pumpers. We're going to take a look at it. There's a couple different ways we can do this also. And you're limited to 2 things. Manpower, actually 3 things. Manpower, equipment, and what? Your imagination. Okay? So, let's say that we're here at the county lake, or let's say we're someplace and we're pumping to, we've got a water supply source and water shuttle set up. We got a 500-foot driveway, small yard. So we're going to set up a porta tank out by the road, lay a line in to the truck. Now here's another point of contention, and it's going to be department preference. Do you want the supply pumper pumping direct into your engine? Do you want a supply pumper pumping into a porta tank and you're drafting out of the porta tank? It can go either way. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your people are comfortable with. Okay? Some people like the porta tank where I can draft, I can see how much water I got in there, I know I've got a full tank of water, I'm drafting out of here, I'm controlling it. If he's pumping to you and your pump operator is not on the ball, your problem at the nozzles is going to be what?
Inconsistent pressure.
Inconsistent. And we've had that happen before. I've got one of my guys that is dead set that we're going to fill a porta tank and I'm going to draft out of the porta tank. That's the way we're going to do it. Okay? So we bought a device for that also. These are just some of the things that we're going to run into. And there again, go ahead.
That's how I do it. I'd rather see the water.
Okay?
Especially if I've got somebody inside the house. Hey, they quit sending me water. This is empty. I'm relying on the water in the truck. Get the hell out of the house.
Okay. Okay.
and that way too, you got more. You can see what's going on when you got your tank sitting right there. And I'll put a house on there where Gene Lanning lives out here, where Steve Hett used to live. The driveway is probably every bit of 6, maybe even 1,000 feet up from the bottom of the road up to where the house is at. You can get an engine up there, okay, and be setting up there, but your porta tank's going to have to be down here, and you're going to have to push water all the way up. And if you had that porta tank, like you were saying, but if you had that porta tank sitting there at your pump, you know you've already got your tank still filled with water for backup, but you can also see what you have on supply with you at that current time.
Like I say, it depends on what you've got equipment-wise. It depends on what you got personnel-wise.
Sometimes you may have to have it at the road. Remember the house fire we had out here? That guy
Right.
had that old chicken house, and the driveway was not big enough for any of these big trucks, even though we were taking.
And we were,
That would
but
have
we
been
were
better
doing
to
it.
put
We
the
should have
quarter
put
tank at the
exactly.
road.
We should have, and that was one of those hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
We learned from these things.
Yeah.
We learned from these things.
And each incident's going to be different.
Exactly.
No matter what you go into, it's all going to be different.
Exactly. So now, have you had? I mean, what's your thoughts? You're sitting over there just sucking it all in.
We kind of do. We kind of prep for both ways. There's a lot of times when we go with Hillsborough, our tender sometimes will be the first water source, and we'll basically feed right in. We won't mess with the folded tank. That's the secondary, like the second.
So basically, you nurse.
We're nursing,
Okay.
but then see, we're running smaller tenders, but usually our second one is pretty close behind. Our Hillsboroughs will show up, and then the folded tank is on
Yeah, that's
that.
fine. You want
Okay.
That one's responsibility.
Okay.
But we have had some of those. We had a situation where we had a folded tank at the road, and then we had our tender and a folded tank halfway up the drive, and then we fed our engine so we could communicate, and then so we had 3,000 gallons kind of in halfway up the drive.
And,
You know,
and that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, that's one of them that they showed.
we had manpower to do it.
That's-
We did. It took a lot of manpower to set it up.
Anytime you get into a haul water situation, that's why I wished Andrew would have showed up. When he's back, he's from New Jersey, but when he was back there, they actually had tender task forces. That if they had a major fire or something like that, they would roll out a tender task force, and you would get command and 6 tenders with 2 to 3 people per tender. And they've done this. There is a YouTube video out there, if you ever look at it. There's a department that did a 6,000 foot hose lay. Yeah, I know.
No. I'll do that as long as you pick it up.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say the lay ain't bad. It's picking it up.
Right. We did some training out here. The house that
Now are they putting something in between them? Another pump
Huh?
to keep the restriction down?
no, they ran that. That was a solid lay, 6 inch. Yeah, I know it was too much.
6 inch that far?
Yeah, there was friction loss on that one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you're better off putting a truck in the middle of it. They cut.
They say if you're going to do
3,000
a lay like that, if you're going to do a long lay, you should put a tender every 1,000 foot, or I mean an engine every 1,000 foot. If you're going to go more than 3,000 foot, you need to be shuttling. Is what they're saying. This was they just did a speed lay to see how it would work. So
Really?
Yeah.
It'll kill the efficiency that bad.
yep.
So what's that say for a hydrant system?
Hydrant systems, yeah. But like I say, you're pushing it, but hydrant pipe is solid, and most of the time you're pushing through. Most municipal hydrants in your areas are 8,
Bigger.
10, 12, 24. So I mean, you've got more volume flow. So okay,
Normally you have 100 to 150,000 in the air putting
pressure on it. Yeah, you got a lot of head pressure coming into that. So what we want to do, let's take a look here and see how we want to do that. Let me grab an eraser here.
I got one thing to bring up while you're doing that.
Yes.
If your water supply is a municipal source, one of the most important things you got to remember, don't cause a water hammer. We ran into our next meeting after our big hay barn fire there in Hillsboro. Our guys on the department from the water department brought in these chart, and it showed continual spikes. And what was causing it was, we had slow turn valves on the hydrant, but the guys at the truck, as soon as they were full, they were grabbing that quarter turn and shutting it off. And you got to do that slow. We learned that as basic firemen. Every valve goes slow. We weren't doing it on all the trucks that night, and it was crazy that their water meter device at the shop was showing every one of those spikes when someone would fill.
9:30.
Yep.
Hello, Gossel.
Hello, Russell. Okay. So
Just watch the water hammer because it's real.
the other thing, when we're setting up a water supply, a fill point, does it have to be a static supply like this or a static source? No, we can set up off of a hydrant, we can set up off a stream, we can set up off a pond, whatever, wherever you can. If we don't have an engine to set at the hydrant to fill, the first truck in that establishes that water supply, if you can, you need to put a valve, a hydrant valve, on all 3 openings. That way you've got 3, you don't have to worry about shutting the hydrant off. You've just got a crank valve to open your hydrant valve. But if you can, set it up on all 3 ports on the hydrant. Most of us probably don't have. I mean, you would have to come off with your 4.5 hydrant to a 2.5 valve. It could be done, but that's kind of what we need to look at and see. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to set up one of the engines or one of the tenders, either one, as a supply engine. We're going to go ahead and we'll set up a porta tank. We'll move a couple of these. We'll set up a couple porta tanks here, or set up a porta tank here. We're just going to back up. We're going to dump. We're going to play with that a little bit. We want to get a flow going. How many of you have worked 2 porta tanks where we're transferring water from one porta tank to another when they're in diamond formation, when they're sitting like this? When they're sitting like this, how many of you set up a pumper? You're drafting out of here. You've got a transfer device there. Now you've got a line to this jet transfer right there. How many of you set stuff up like that before?
I've transferred, but we were always just side by side.
Side by side?
Yeah, so
Did you just do a gravity, or did you just
No, we got a jet transfer.
jet transfer? Basically the same thing. That's what I'm saying. This is a jet transfer. You're drafting here, you're jet transferring from there to the other one. You've done that. Have you guys
Didn't we
done
do
that?
that at Lincolnville at one of your house fires there?
We tried. We tried to do that.
We've
We
done
had-
it at one of the water shuttle classes.
Yes, we've done it at the water shuttle classes.
Never at a scene.
Okay, because we used to do that when we would go
Yes.
down to Mulligan Flats. We would set up 3 porta tanks down there, and we would keep them transferring. Okay, next thing, porta tanks. When we're setting up porta tanks, if you can set up like porta tanks, it's great. You want to draft out of one of your larger porta tanks. Now, let's say we've got one porta tank we're drafting and we're dumping into it. What is one of the problems that we can run into?
Cavitation.
Why?
Because the water, you're going to aerate the water when the truck dumps into it.
Okay, you're going to aerate the water. You're going to have cavitation, possibly. Okay, a lot of times that's all we have time to set up initially. We get so focused that if we would take another 3 minutes, 4 minutes when one of the trucks comes in to set this up, we would be a little bit more efficient. Okay, so what we want to do also here, we're going to set up to draft, and we're going to see how that flows, and we're going to set up 2 lines to flow from. Okay, then I want to set up 2 porta tanks back here and transfer water from one to the other with a jet siphon. Have you guys, who has low level strainers with a jet siphon on it? Okay, we've got one.
Yeah.
What?
No.
No.
We don't have it.
Okay. No, just some questions. If you're sucking out of a porta tank, it's good to have a low-level strainer. Okay? You grab a low-level strainer out of the front compartment, and then let me grab the other thing. I know. Dodgeball.
Yeah, gotta have that in there for the circulation.
Yep. If you put this in a porta tank, once you start getting low, you're going to get your cavitation, you're going to get your whirlpool. This will plug it up and keep the air out of the pump. Now, big thing. Big thing. You must have a strainer
You just suck that in your suction.
on that. Marion did that out here years ago. We had ball in there. Porta tank, yeah, we don't use a strainer in the porta tank. Are you sure? Okay.
Sucked it right out.
And that was just it. Like I say,
Remember pocket knife? Take it out.
no. We had to use a pipe hole because it went in far enough that we had to.
Nice.
Way in.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Way.
talking. So, I mean, basically, it shuts operations down. So, yeah, there's a ball in the
There's a
suction valve.
dodgeball in the hose.
So that's one of the things that we're going to have to look at. But those are real handy to use to help with that. Okay, jet siphon. Low level strainer. Rated 1,000 gallons a minute. Okay? Nice thing about it is you can put an 1.5 inch hose on the backside and it's going to push water out here into your suction line, and you'll be able to create a Venturi effect. As it's pushing the water in there, it's going to draw water in and around. It's the way it's supposed to work. Now, we had this set up over at a house fire at Burdick, and it was not wanting to transfer. Not sure why, but it was not wanting to transfer. So, something that we're going to play with today. And even if today, if all we're doing is just playing with our tools and seeing what works and what doesn't, that's still it's a good day. So, another thing that we've got, I got on a grant.
Yeah. I think I've got a second one.
We have that in, like, when we did the.
Our little transfer deal that takes water between the tanks, and we still use the belly truck. So we got for a 4-inch suction, which is the reason I had to take that suction hose off that other truck, because I've got to have that to transfer water between the tanks. That's what we were playing with at Harrington, but that's mixed reviews.
Jet draft. Venturi effect hydro draft system. Basically, this does the same as this, in theory. 2.5 or 3 inch in. Goes around, you've got a jet that's pushing out on the 5-inch side. This is designed for, you can't get close enough to a pond. The pond's over where the cars are. You can't get that close. You could take this out there and push water back to you. In Kansas, what is our maximum lift for drafting?
25 feet, isn't it?
18.
18.
You can go 20, but they say if you look at it, it's like 18 and something. So you really never want to try to lift over 10. This is designed also that you could lift 25, 30, 35 foot. Is the brochure paperwork on it. I've never tried that. Now, I found out that when they used it up at Harrington, they had some problems with it. One of the things when you're using this is you're using your tank water, you're pumping. This is drafting whatever water out and pushing it to the deal. If you're going to use this, you need to make sure that you keep your tank full. You're always having to make sure that your tank is full, because the minute you run out of water in your tank, this is done. In theory, this is supposed to be able to push 460 some gallons a minute. We may play with it a little bit out here.
Have you played with this since Harrington?
No, I have not.
What we figured out at Harrington is this thing requires dedicated flow.
Yes.
At dedicated PSI. 180 PSI and dedicated. Well, they were using the same truck that they were using to run this to fill itself. We didn't set up a porta tank. It was filling itself on the charge line. Anytime he would open a circuit to start filling a truck, it'd drop his pressure enough that this thing would lose its charge from the water, and then he'd pump his truck empty, and then you were dead in the water, because when he didn't have water to run that thing, we didn't have nothing. Because we were probably almost from where Lester's at now to the water, or what we were doing up there at Harrington. And we had a big powwow about it. Me personally, I'd have probably tried setting that thing up to where it pushed into a porta tank, and then the truck was sucking off a porta tank, so you could physically see your water level and knew, hey, I got to focus on stopping filling the trucks and getting my tank full. Where they were just filling on the tank and you couldn't actually see it, it got him in trouble. You're 30 miles away from a water supply out fighting a big grass fire out in the Flint Hills, and you're, you know, this far from a lake or a pond. Probably a pretty decent tool, but if you're trying to use that to fight a structure fire, I think you're gonna regret your poor choices.
And that could be, like I say, could set it up at a fill point too. We might play with this today if we get a chance. So, I've rambled a little bit. So now my question is for you guys. Marion, what do you want to see and try today? Anything in particular? Okay. Are you comfortable drafting? Like I say, I'm going to go back to what we did with our wildland class. Are you comfortable drafting with your truck, and can you draft with your truck from a static source?
Ours won't.
Your truck won't draft. Okay. Do we know why?
No.
Just when we try to do it before, it won't draft.
Okay. Sounds like a challenge to me.
Whatever.
Let's find out why.
We got plenty of water supply.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Are you comfortable with yours?
Should be. I mean, sure.
Okay.
Oh, I know yours.
Brett?
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
I'll do whatever you want.
Okay. So, let's take a look here.
I'll throw in real fast on this device where I used to be at Burton. The thing we found is you gotta get that deep enough in the water, because just like you talked about cavitation, if this screen is barely under the water, you're gonna be sucking in more water or more air than water, and so you got to get it deep.
You've got to have at least 3 foot over this.
Yeah.
You got to have at least 3 foot above the top.
Someone's going swimming.
As I
Yeah,
said,
Kyler had to go swimming at Harrington
To do what?
to take that out far enough in the water that we'd get it down into the water.
Oh, okay.
He walked down the boat ramp in the water about here and got her set in place. And as that thing's working, as it goes to pulsing and surging, it keeps walking itself further out into the water.
Okay. Well, the thing that I've got for that purpose that they tell you to do is to float it.
Really.
About like that.
So it just kind of does its own thing out there.
So, we'll play with that. So let's set up, let me look back here and see how we want to do this. Let's set up 2 porta tanks in a diamond formation back here. And we'll dump 2 of our trucks into there. Then we'll set up a truck to draft and fill a couple tenders. And we'll set up an engine drafting off of the porta tank, spraying back into the lake without hitting the boaters.
Come on, challenge accepted.
I said without soaking the boaters.
Well, let's
Well,
just
then
see how
we
close
need
we
to
can
go-
get without getting.
Yeah, let's not. So let's walk back here and let's take a look at the layout and picture in your mind how we want to lay it out. Okay? How many of you have round tarps for your porta tanks? Okay. That's going to be one of the big things, is having a ground deal. Because you set up a porta tank on this or on that or something like that, you stand a chance of puncturing your porta tank when you start getting water and weight in it and moving back and forth like that. You'll rub a hole in it real quick. So, what we'll do, we'll set up our we have to, we'll just spray the water out this way. Set supply engine here. We'll set a pair of porta tanks here. Then we can draft and transfer off of one engine. We'll have another engine set up right here on the edge that we can use to fill the porta tanks with. Okay? A couple things we'll probably do today also. How many of you have timed your tenders on dumping?
I have, but I don't know where that information's at.
Okay, so the new ISO standard for dump time is, it used to be, you start here, drive 300 foot where your porta tank is, line up on your porta tank, dump, drive 300 foot and stop. And that was your time. Now all ISO wants, because they've got it all in their computer, is you pull up to your porta tank, you position your truck, when you open the dump valve, the time starts. When you figure your flow is low enough, time stops. So when you're dumping a porta tank, you don't want to get all of the water out. You want to go to a reasonable flow where it's not beneficial anymore, shut it off and go for more water. I always get down to about an inch and a half coming out of the dump valve. When I hit to that point, I close the dump valve and head for more water. So that's one thing we can accomplish today for some of these is getting a time. Okay? The other thing we can do, if we want, is when we set up a fill site, and we won't probably do that today, but what we do is you've got X time to set up a fill site. Now, we did our ISO inspection last year. Yours is coming up this next year, I believe, is what I'm thinking. Do you know when your last one was or when your next one is?
I'd have to look back when it was.
Okay. They're doing it about every 10 years.
Probably got a couple of years yet then,
Okay.
theoretically. But
Do you, on your rating, do you figure haul water into your rating? Shuttle.
I believe so.
Okay.
I have to look at that.
Okay. If you don't, any of us that are rural, we need to figure haul water into our ratings because we do a lot of tanker shuttle because we have a lot of rural area. Tender shuttle. We have a lot of rural area. So the things that they're going to look at from ISO purposes is they're going to look at your dump times. Okay? The other thing we can do today is our fill times. We'll look at our fill times. They look at setup time for your attack engine. We were lucky we didn't have to do it again because we still had our, they're using our original times. At some point we may play again to see if we can, but your setup time is also a constant, it's a fix. All you have is 5 minutes. So when you pull up, you've got a porta tank here, you've got your engine here. When they say go, you start setting up your suction line into the porta tank. Your tender starts dumping into the porta tank. Once you get to a point where you've got water, where you can draft and flow water, you got 5 minutes. We had that when we were doing it before. Now all you have to do, you can show them, take video and that. They actually came out and walked us through it.
They picked on Lost Springs real hard.
Hey, trust me, they picked on us real hard too because we did it out at the school. the thing we did back then that the ISO guy, like I say, I'm sitting there and I'm working on getting the prime and everything like that. Got it. Not a problem. I think we did it like 3:45, something like that, 4. But we were practicing. I mean, we were practicing for 8 months for this before we went in. I mean, we practiced every month. We were getting good. ISO guy comes up to me and says, "Good job." I says, "Yeah." I said, "I was worried about the primer there. I had some issues." He says, "Why didn't you go off your tank water?" Because it says to draft. He says, "I'm over by the pickup." He says, "Am I going to tell if it's coming out of the tank or if it's coming out of the truck tank?" I'm like, oh, okay. Now they are more adamant about that. They want to see that primer. They want to see that coming out of that tank. Back then, you also had 10 minutes to set up and be flowing. Whatever you were flowing at 10 minutes was where your flow rate was at, and you had to maintain that flow rate for 2 hours. We didn't actually do the whole thing because they had the computer program. We ran a couple cycles of it. Then they had a computer program that had your fill times, your dump site locations, and it would automatically do it and tell you where you ran out at. Because we had all of the tenders in the county that we were using. I think Jeff was the road deputy at the time. Well, one of the county sheriffs brought in their portable scales out to the high school, and we brought in all the tenders. We weighed them full, we weighed them empty. So that way we had the exact gallonage. Now, your tender may be 3,000 gallons. You're not going to get credit for 3,000 gallons. You're going to get credit for less, 10%. You're going to get 90% of what's in there to allow for spillage, not totally filling, and so forth. So that's kind of what you're going to be faced with. So, quick questions on any of that? Okay, so who would like to be a fill and who would like to be an attack? We got 2 engines here, so you two figure it out.
Don't matter to me.
Okay? Marion, we'll let you fill. You don't have your engine here.
You can go get it.
You want to go get the engine? You want to run in and grab it?
You want that, or you want the tanker to go back in and just bring the engine back out?
Tell you what. Let's go ahead and have Marion fill. You said you've used your tender to push?
Okay, yeah.
How many discharges? You got 500. How many discharges you got? I mean, you got 2 discharges.
You got 2 discharges.
You think you can handle pumping water into the lake and transferring water in the porta tank? Shall we try?
Try it.
Okay, if
Well,
not,
you don't know if it's going to work until you try it.
Okay, if not, then we can put mine in there, or we can put any other ones in there. So, okay, so we'll use you as an attack. We'll use you as a fill. So, let's take a look at the fill site. Now, here's another thing that we've talked about. Do you have fill sites identified in your district, certain fill sites? Okay. Do you?
We know we got a couple of them.
Yeah, the reservoir in the lake.
Yeah. They're identified.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm talking smaller ones, like
Right.
We
maybe...
do have one on Nighthawk. That's
Well,
hydrant
let's
that's
refresh
Well,
this.
you got the hydrant, yes, but
Yeah.
Hillsboro's got to make sure they
We
get
know
that
where
water
we
turned
have
on.
We know where they're at. They're
Yeah.
just not documented anymore.
Right.
Right.
We
Okay.
know where they're at.
We know where they're at. Okay.
And
Do
if
we-
you're out here, you can actually go to the water tower at the end of the lake and
Right.
get water out of there instead of the lake.
Okay. So that's open and usable then. Okay. How much water does that tower have?
And that's another thing too. If that's the case, then we got to notify Marion, so Marion starts getting their pumps turned on, and starts throwing water.
Okay. Okay, same thing in Peabody, is they can start the pumps to push water to Peabody, from what I understand
From
on that
Hillsborough,
one.
yes.
So, okay, so looking at that, if you get a chance as you're going around and you see a pond or a creek or something like that that might serve, try to one of your trainings, document it so you know, fill site, G3 for Gossel, LS5, L3, whatever, so we can start plotting them on some of our maps. Now,
ISO does not recognize that.
ISO will not recognize those
Will
because
not.
they have not been certified by a hydrologist.
Right.
They will, however, accept this. They will accept the reservoir. They will accept our tanks because they are a fixed gallon.
Would they accept watershed ponds? Because that was all built with the same money this was.
If there are records, a hydrologist records for a 50-year drought. If there is a watershed pond and you have hydrologists or geologists or water specialist peoples or an engineer that will certify that this pond will flow 1,000 gallons a minute for 2 hours in a 50-year drought. And I have yet to find an engineer that hasn't designed a pond that will do that.
Now, does any of your areas, have a dry hydrant in any big ponds?
I don't think we have any dry hydrants. We had a chance to put them out here years ago.
That'd be handy.
The chief at the time said we don't need them. So, and it was all free money. They were going to put 4 of them out here.
Yeah, that'd have been real nice.
Yeah.
So, like I say, that
was after we did that water shuttle class.
was several years ago. But yeah, but they talked about it. We had one of the water groups that was willing to do that. So
This would have been a perfect spot right here.
yep. So anyway, let's go ahead and walk over to here and let's take a look at the fill site. And Brett, since you're going to run the fill site, let's take a look at it and tell me what you think. And how you want to do it. And that's good because this is deeper over here.
It's deeper over there. Well, that's all right. Grab on the side.
I don't know. Your pump paddle's on this side.
No, it's not. It's on the driver's side.
Well, I'll say you back it. You're gonna drive it.
I was going to drive it.
Okay.
Those have been thrown off that side. But the idea to it is I could come in and nose in over there on the concrete too. Just throw 2 hoses together out in the water. I don't know how deep that'd get.
Okay. I was trying to avoid using the boat dock.
Okay,
If we
that's
can.
fine.
So,
I'll just nose up in here and throw it off on that side.
and like I say, we've always like to say, when you set up a draft site, take a few extra minutes to make it work. What you can even do, you can pull alongside and you can throw it out this way if you had to. I mean, you figure out which one, and that's part of what we're looking and learning and doing, is setting this up this way.
Well, I'm going to have to throw the 2 hoses together.
Either way, you're going to have 2 hoses here.
Get out in the water, you're doing it here.
Yep. Like I say, this right in here, I know we've used this before off of this side because it kind of goes down here. Yeah, I know. So your section is going to be right about where your mom's at.
Yeah, probably.
Okay? And 2 sections.
It'd be better just to pull over there, push it in the water.
Okay? Let's take a look at that. So, how many sections of hose can you use to draft with?
Well, as long as I'm not going up at 3 or 4 feet, I can put 6 on.
I wouldn't want to quite go that far, but yeah, I mean, you could use three sections if you had to.
Ideally 2.
Ideally 2, lift no more than 10. From your pump to the surface of the water, no more than 10. So, let's see what we can do.
Has there been any discussion about using rural water district supply
As far as
for supply? I know in our district and their district, we caught a couple water towers with good hydrants underneath them. But I also know that you can go to any fill or flush hydrant they've got, set up your 3,000 gallon tank, open it up, just let it gravity feed that tank. And then as you're filling the trucks, you have to draft off that tank. You can't draft off
Right.
the system or you'll collapse the line.
And see, that would be something for you guys to work in your district. I mean, how many cleanouts do you have?
Yeah.
Where are they located at? Are they feasible? Can we get, and these are things, is it feasible? Can we get trucks in and out?
Now, with you saying that, Rusty, if you was to contact your rural water district, if they was to be able to turn the pumps on, if you had a big
That'll
enough
help.
fire,
That'll help.
then you'd be able to draft off that hydrant.
No.
You still can't do it?
No, because most of those lines are 2 to
2.5
4
Okay,
inch lines.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to be limited on what the flow is too.
Okay.
So you got to have your bulk tank sitting there
While
to
we're-
catch that water.
While we're talking to that, and I've seen people do it, when you are hooking to something like that or a hydrant, never, ever, ever use hard suction. Always use your soft suction or your LDH, because that way, if you're drafting, if you're sucking, you're not going to collapse the lines. It will collapse your supply hose first. I have seen people hook to hydrants with hard suction and cringe, thinking how many hundreds of feet of
How many leaks are going down the line?
as they're
But that
over.
used to be the way we were all taught for this old.
Well, and like say they were doing it when I started doing it. It's like, guys, you can't do that. Well, yeah, that's what we're supposed to. No. So that's something that we're going to have to look at.
I know the hydrant on the fairgrounds in Hillsborough spraying water on that slipper slide over there. The pump can be on, but if you put any throttle to the engine at all, it starts taking the static pressure off the line. So
Right, and that's
it
probably a
wouldn't
dead end
take much
hydrant.
it wouldn't take much to make a mess of that one.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's take a look at this spot over here and see if you think you can get there. The thing is, that what you want to be careful of is what?
Well, it starts wet, and you're going to make it even wetter. You're going to get stuck.
Get muddy.
That's part of it. So let's take a look and see. While he's okay.
We're going to go throw it in
Okay.
over there and find a way to make it work.
Okay, I'm going to go let him know what we're going to do.
The fishing guy?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to ruin your fishing. We'll give you a good show, but we're...
Oh, yeah. Me and names are just wider. Recognize staying quiet over there, Dawson.
Instead of going to try to grab this one, bolt it together and stuff like that. I got to find the adapter to put back to my water sprayer suction.
Yeah. Yeah. Grass is so tall and everything now.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
You want to help that JP stretch out of
He has earlier operations.
Yes.
So he is not to be lifted.
All the height.
Okay. Quick comment. Hard section hose is like this. Cam locks. there are two types of gaskets in these cam lock or these stored hard suction. They have your standard gaskets, and then they have what they call drafting gaskets. Drafting gaskets are probably a 16th, maybe a 32nd, maybe a 16th thicker.
Very good.
If you have problems
Thank
drafting
you.
this way, you need to come up. Those are 6-inch? Yeah. Okay. If it turns out that we have a problem with that, let me know. Because I ordered extra when we ordered them. So I've got some of the drafting gaskets.
I've had problems with one of these on something. I don't remember which one.
Okay, well, we'll find out. All right. So, let's watch him set up and see what we can do to streamline the operation.
Okay, in regards to the tower here, it is a 6-inch with 8-inch feet. So it will feet, they'll go both ways.
Okay.
All around the lake is off a 6-inch feet.
Really? I didn't know they put 6-inch around the lake.
According to Josh, I'm home.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's something. I was figuring with it being rural water, most of the time, rural water, you're lucky 4-inch.
Well, is it considered rural water? Because they get it from
Because they actually get it from Marion. They don't actually get it from
then it would be rural water. So what do we have coming from Marion to here to feed? 6 or 8?
probably 8. I didn't ask what the feed was, but I'm sure when he said it was an 8-inch coming to the tower.
That's probably coming from town.
Right.
Okay. So now your water plant is on the off Walnut. Those things are scary. Okay. Because see, I remember if you come up by Antelope, there used to be a pump there. Because what they used to do is they would pump water into Clear Creek when the water flow would drop. They would pump water from that pump into Clear Creek and then pick it up at the water treatment plant here in Marion out of the creek. So that was years and years ago. I don't know if they still pull out of there, if they've got wells now.
I would think they have wells.
Well, that's what I would think. So, like I said, that's been several years ago.
My male to female, or my stored or male adapter is right there, and it's stuck in my female to female adapter.
Okay, I got cam lock or cam spanners.
This is good learning for us. This is all of them.
They never went.
We haven't pulled anything off our truck yet either.
This is just organized chaos.
Now see, what type of hard suction do you have? 4-inch or 5?
On that truck, we just have 3 inches.
I need to find out who's got 5-inch hard suction. And I've got 2 jet adapters like that. Round. Because my old engine had 5-inch. Now I've got 6-inch on both the tender and that. So it's cheaper to buy those than it is to buy an adapter. Yeah.
Makes sense.
No. Okay, another thing to look at. When you're setting this up like this, it's got a jet adapter on it, right? If you've got water in your truck, you can heater prime that.
Come on, I want you to latch because I don't want to have to fish you out of the water.
So what you-
I would recommend put a rope on the end of that thing.
Yep,
Make it a whole lot easier to pull out.
yep. And that, like I said, these are things that we can learn. So, rope on that. of the full length. Here's another thing you can do with this. Is you can with that you can add, like say, you can add the 1.5-inch discharge, and if you've got a full tank of water.
Hey, do you want to put a rope on that?
Nope.
Not now.
Nope. I don't have rope on mine either, but I need to. What I'm waiting to see is how many of the porta tanks have cross ropes on them.
Both of them we have, Bill.
Mine does too. Well, yeah, because you got the one for me.
Yeah, the one for me, but our other one has.
Did I give you that, or is that still on loan?
I guess that's up to you.
It's been what, like a 4-year loan?
Well, when we came and got the bed,
Yep. Oh, that's been a long time.
I patched it.
Oh, did you have to patch it? Okay, I'll let you get in the next one.
Just on the one or two spots.
realigning tool. We will have a quick talk on that here in a minute. A safety talk on that hose clamp.
It kept falling on his foot, so I just set it on my arms.
Okay, so. Hey Brett, come here a minute first. Are you planning on using the hose clamp?
No.
Okay.
Just
It
kept
fell
falling on
out
his
when I
foot.
landed on my foot. I about landed on my foot the second time, so I decided to just leave it there.
Quick thing on the hose clamp since it's laying out here. It's got an over center lock. Whenever you go to release it or engage it, never stand over it, push it down. Be to the side of it, push it down. Because if you're standing over it, it has been known to come out of your hand and it will hit you in the jaw or the mouth and take care of teeth. It's not pretty. And you got it.
Close it a little bit.
Okay.
A little more. That works. Hot water is damn shitty. I can fix that in 3 months. It won't work again. I don't waste the money.
All right. Quick talk. When everybody gets back here.
Lester wants to do some quick thoughts. Lester wants to do some quick thoughts. Lester wants to talk.
Okay. So he's already got the draft and he's circulating. Whenever you set up a draft point like this or a fill point, if you keep it going like this, you never have to shut it down. You will never lose your draft. Just keep it circulating all the time. What I usually do is I carry either an inch line or an inch and a half line, short line, throw it out, just let it go. So that works pretty good too. So that way you don't have to shut down, you're not making a mud puddle while running your tank over. So set it up to draft that way. So, all right.
That's fine.
So we got this set. You're gonna need that for your.
I'll leave this one bypassing so I can use that one to fill trucks.
Okay. Once you get set up, then we'll go over and we'll work on the tender side of it. I got the stringer. You don't have a low level stringer. It's a low level stringer this time. It doesn't have the jet adapter on it. I might go ahead and put my tender in there, the pump. I've got the low level and I can like these. You've got yeah, I can't neck mine down far enough on yours. So that's something I think. Yeah, okay, so yeah, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and pull mine in there. We'll set up a 40 tank and 2 40 tanks and we'll go from there. Then we'll watch me. We'll watch me fumble around and get stuff out of there. Then it'll be, at some point it'll be y'all's turn to fumble around and get stuff out of the truck. But this is a good thing too. This is practice. Hey, it's practice. Do I have everything right? I make it. So, there's one I was going to work on with the rural hits, but I don't have all the stuff to work on. The rural this is pretty neat for nursing. And Ramona was supposed to come today with their big tanker, with their big 5,000 gallons. And we were going to work with nursing off of that and filling it like we do them around on the grab side stuff. So, okay, so once he's set, okay, once you're set, shut yours down once you just let it clear mine.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got it.
Set that one up over there. Okay, Gene, we're going to transition over here and we're going to set up the porta tank side, okay?
Yeah. And it took us a while to replace our stuff to get the plan.
Yeah.
You know, right at the beginning when we all talked about doing it. Well, it didn't run wrong.
Yeah, probably better hook them two together.
Line those up, pick it up.
I like to go right in front and just flash.
Just go, don't throw them to the water.
He's gonna want to fill it too on me.
Oh, he needs that in there.
What? More than I need. Hold on.
Try to do is set up porta tank here and here.
You have a top for you?
Yep.
get it?
No. Yeah, well, it was loose.
You're gonna have a heavy duty car like that, blue tarp will work. Just something to prevent.
It's not a bad idea. Well, you know, why do it? It's got two dumps.
Okay. Now, couple things. This one, if you notice, has two dumps. When you position these, always try to position one of the dumps
Underneath the truck.
downhill.
Oh.
Yeah, punch. Always try to position it downhill if you can. You know, like I say, knock the corners out.
When you empty your dump tank, make sure you get all the dirt and stuff out of it.
Hey, might clean it out a little bit.
Yeah, that too. Hey, this was on your fire, so I don't want to hear anything.
Sure.
So,
Blame it on that amazing Lost Springs water.
no, this one, I don't know what this was, but anyway. So, now, we can set up tanks a number of different ways. You can set them up side by side, you can set them up, I always like to set up a diamond formation. A diamond formation, if you set them up side to side, you can dump here, there, or there. If you're in a diamond formation, you've got multiple areas where you can dump. The way we're configured here, we can't. So, but we'll probably still set up a diamond formation, just so we can see it. Now, your tank is 3,000. I can't remember if that other tarp is 3,000 or not. We'll grab it and see. At least it'll be down under your tank. So let's grab the other yellow tank, or the yellow tarp, and we'll set Marion's tank right here. Corner to corner. Now, here's a couple things that I just discovered. Equipment-wise. I'm going to be drafting out of this tank. I have one low-level strainer that's jet assist. So, I will not be able to do a jet transfer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the 5-inch off of yours to do the transfer.
I've got another low level strainer. Don't have jet system.
5-inch? 6-inch?
6-inch, I believe. Screw time.
Okay, well then I'll use that on this, and then I'll use the jet assist to this. See, that's just one of those things. It's just like, okay, well, I've never decided about using this for an attack or supply pump. Okay, this is for our old 1500. Yeah, is that what I've got written on it? Yep. So that's another thing. When you start, if you get them, mark them if you have multiple size tanks. What size tank is yours? 15? Do you have a tarp?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, if you didn't, I was going to let you have that one. So, I just use it for salvage cover. Alright, that'll work.
It does not appear to have a desk.
It doesn't.
It's going to be under the wall.
We'll see. If now we'll set it up the other way. This is the other thing we can do is figure this out. So, set up the 2 tanks.
You told me that earlier. I put that one in the water.
Set up the transfer, and then we'll look at it, we'll fill them, and start seeing how it works. So, questions on this at this point? Now you're saying that you don't use the bigger stuff like this. Do you do a lot of nursing over there as opposed to dump and run?
It depends on, like McPherson County, there's a lot of nursing we do with those departments.
Okay.
Hillsborough, we either way.
Okay.
For our own stuff, most of us will train for our own. We'll set a full tank up.
Run and dump, yeah.
We use a lot of, we don't have the 6-inch, the 5-inch, everything we do is on the smaller stuff.
Okay. And that's fine. I mean, it's whatever works, whatever you have. Here's the thing that I saw in the one of the training presentations I saw. It talks about keeping your tenders moving. Always keep them moving. Because if it's not moving, you know what that is right there? That's a $300,000 porta tank. That's all it is. So when you're running, you need to keep the trucks moving, keep them rolling as best as you can. So now let's go ahead and set up. Let's put your porta tank here, and I'll work on getting the draft side set up over here, and then we'll work on the transfer stuff. Usually when you're doing this, you're going to probably be doing this with 2 people, maybe 3, depending on what you got at the fill site. Huh? Yes? Okay.
Uh-huh. It was brown. I put nice water and stuff. Yeah.
Another little device. Since some of my guys prefer drafting out of a filled porta tank, we purchased this. So now I can lay 4-inch LDH and we can pump into the porta tank with it. You can mount it anywhere that you've got a vertical brace. Works good, they said. Haven't tried it yet. So something to look at and play with. So.
Oh, is there something? Oh,
What were you doing when you were taking water to burn?
get it?
Yeah.
Drive truck.
Pushing it to a truck. You
Backed
put it
up.
in there,
Nope, I was
oh.
backing up, opening the back, slamming it
Got
shut,
it off.
and right back off again on it.
You were hauling water. Set up. You were just hauling water.
Yep, I was just hauling water.
That's
If
all right.
you
You're
can-
doing the job.
When you set up your tender to your porta tank, always make sure that you get your compartments open. So.
Well, I was gonna say that's as far as we got it.
I hate the dryer on that truck.
Why's that?
Constantly purging.
Oh.
I think this is
Downhill's going that way. Hey, the man said run it downhill.
Under the truck.
Under the truck.
Under the truck.
Yeah, I think this one just has one.
Primary
Yeah, that-
objective. Under the truck.
It'll work. It's going downhill.
Between the strings.
Yeah,
I have in between them.
Another 4
Right.
that way. It's still going to go downhill regardless.
I was gonna say, I think you got to punch down those.
Yeah, there you go. It's still going to the truck.
Push the buttons. There you go.
Okay. So, this way. Now we'll set up for the that one? I know. With that one, we'll set that up over in there. I've got to pull this off. Yep, I gotta take this one off. Good thing I had that adapter.
Tell me why you have that adapter.
Probably.
You want me to take the seal off of this end?
Huh? So it don't blow it out, yeah. Actually, it shouldn't blow it out. It should be in there tight enough that it won't.
I took it out.
Okay. Okay. So, diamond configuration. You can back in and dump here, you can back in and dump there, you can back in and dump there. If you had to, you could angle in and dump here. Or you can drive beside it and dump. Draft line, transfer line. We have a fill there also. What we could have done, let's say that you've got this at the farmstead or at the house. You can take that, if you can't get all the way in and you're pumping, you can take that and put it on one of your tanks that you're transferring from, and you can transfer into that. And we may try that on one of ours. We'll lay out some line and we'll pump into it just to see a different way of doing things. But for now, I just want to set this so you can see what it does. Like I say, this was purchased because some of our guys would rather draft out of this where they can see the water. Biggest thing to remember when we're doing this, when we're doing shuttle, when we're drafting, always make sure that your tank is full. If you use water out of your tank, when you're able to, top it off. Make sure it is always full. That is your buffer. That's your buffer zone. So,
That tank's empty. This tank's useless.
yes, exactly. So, let's go ahead and fill this tank. And we'll set it up. We'll set up the line first. And then what we'll do is we'll transfer into there. So we'll see how the transfer works. Okay? Okay. So let me grab.
Where I want to bring it. Probably around this way.
You got to roll 1.5 inches, so I don't have to pull the.
Yes.
So I don't have to break down the hand line.
Maybe not. I think mine are all the way to those things. Maybe it'll reach.
I got another.
50 foot should reach it. If we have to, we can go around the front too. All right.
Both not going to fit together.
Yeah.
You're too full figure.
Me? Just me? Okay.
We're a too full figure.
There you go.
Let's get some carts.
Marshmallows. Back up.
Yeah.
It's just a tank. I don't know if it's just. I don't know if it's just the tanks.
probably a bit rough. Like I say, yeah, all you can do is siphon principle. We used to have, when we did this before, I had a piece of PVC pipe. It was a U pipe. It was about this tall. We fill it in there, put it in there, it had a 90 on both sides, and it would siphon. You can set that up, a U pipe like that, also with a fitting on it where you can put a jet on it and jet siphon it. So a lot of different ways. But I'm gonna start this up and see how we can, see if we can transfer. Big big thing, if it works.
I have any for that. First operation fail of the day. That is not running under the truck.
We'll hire you, Gene. We don't lose any more water.
Got a good enough track to see what it's doing. I'm about 3/4 of the tank, like saying it's not dropping hardly any here, but we're still moving a lot here. Okay. So I was looking to see if we could just, if it would gravity transfer, if it would go with the suction, but it won't. Not now. It's got too much of a fly. It's got too much of a fly in there. Are you going to move it that way? Okay. Okay. By doing this, hopefully that will eliminate some of the turbulence on top and the cavitation possibility by aerating the water, in theory. Water coming! the truck. So let's bring the second truck over and fill. transferred almost a full 3,000 gallons, and I only dropped probably maybe 750 gallons. So it was working. Sometimes you can get them if you've got the regular hard suctions. Hopefully you can get them where they will just automatically start siphon flowing. You can sometimes get that. We've got this, we've got this. So what I want to do now is we'll look at filling the tenders, and I'm going to position Gossel's truck 2.5 inch?
I got one side capped off, but yeah, it'll take me 2.5.
Okay. Let's go ahead, and what we'll do is we'll put Gossel here. We'll pump, let them pump into the lake. I'll draft out of this and feed them, just to get what the metrics of it looks like. Okay? Question? Unless there's something that you guys would rather see. This configuration, when you're doing this, is you're having to watch both tanks plus your water tank on that one. Now, what we can do, and what we've done before, when we were hauling over to Mulligan Flats, is we had 3/4 tanks set up, and we were transferring and transferring. The thing is this tank, your supply tank, your truck tank stays full. These two, this one preferably second full, the third one is usually your dump. That's what you're transferring everything out of. You want to keep these two as full as possible. If possible, you want like-sized tanks. It makes it a little bit easier. If you don't have like-sized tanks, there again, it's like when you're drafting, when you're supplying. Biggest tank goes to your vehicle. From there you can go smaller. But this one is bigger, that way you can keep it as full and it's going to provide you the most amount of water. Because if you've got a 2,000 here and a 3,000 here, it's going to be kind of backwards. It's going to make things difficult. So, we'll do it this way. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shut this. How does it run? We'll take a look here. Gene, I'll have you move your pickup over here, and then we're going to take a look here and see how we want to do this. Small area confined, but like say, whether you do it in 300 square foot or whether you do it over 3 miles, it's still going to be basically the same principle, the same metrics of it. If we want, after we eat, we can take this setup down to the next place, and we can actually make a couple round trip hauls and see what it's like. But like I say, for what we're doing now, getting our hands, getting back into it and seeing how we're doing, this is a pretty decent thing. So, questions? Ideas? Thoughts? Interactive class. Okay. Well, Gene, I'll let you move your truck and we'll figure this out over here.
Okay, we are all set up here. I'm going to try to give you a vision of what's happening. This fire truck sitting here right now has a hose into the county lake. So when it starts up, it will pump water and fill these two fire trucks sitting right here, which they in turn will go over and fill the supply tanks that are set up. So we'll go to the supply tanks next. Okay, these are the two supply tanks that those two fire trucks will be coming to and dumping water into that. Also, here is another tank over here by this fire truck, and this fire truck right here will be the final one to get all the water after it goes through all of this. And you can see right now they do have it going through, so the pump is out there shooting water onto the fire. Lincolnville's fire truck is pulling water out of these two and sending it over to this fire truck right here, who is also pulling water out of this tank, and then in the final end it comes out of theirs and goes to on the fire. This is the water that's coming in from Lincolnville's fire truck over by the other two tanks. And you can see out there, they've got the spray nozzle there where it's shooting out into the lake quite a ways, and that way they can be set back and be able to squirt water a long distance onto a fire, as you can see right there. This here is a shot from the right at the nozzle here, and I think what they said they was doing, they was aerating the Marion County Lake here. Great tool to have, and it takes all these connections. These would normally be set up on a bigger area, but being this is a training session, it's set up in a real close area just to be able to show you the possibilities of what they can do if they are out of fire.